Well, hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time of day it is for you. Welcome to That Girl's Quilting Threads and Things. Today's quilt block is another building. I find that these buildings are fun because they are simply piecing pieces together. There is no worry of half square triangles, no worry of flying geese or anything like that. So join me as we build a house together, one piece at a time. All right, don't panic. Everything is marked. Doesn't matter which way the wind blows, they're all marked. The reason why I wanted to do this house building quilt block for you is because I wanted to show you kind of the foundation pieces of a simple building, what it kind of looks like. And then I use this basic foundation to kind of inspire like the building quilt block that I did on a previous video. So what you're seeing over here is you're seeing basically all of the different pieces that make up the building, the basic house. And then I've added a couple of extra connectors to create the what might be shrubbery alongside the house. Let's go ahead, and what I'll do is I'm just going to lay this out. I'm going to lay it out from top to bottom, basically, and it's going to lay out much larger than the finished quilt block. The finished quilt block is actually 6 inches. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start with our sky pieces. So that is our N, our L for the chimney, and then an M for the other sky piece. I'm going to give a little bit of room here in between. And then the second sky piece is, so we have J, and then we have our C pieces. So I'm going to gather both of our C pieces. So they make up the front gable of the house. So there's our peak. And what this will do is it's going to end up connecting to this piece right here. So it'll look like that. And we'll use the flip and stitch method. The next we have is our E fabric. So this is making up our roof. This piece here is going to connect up with this piece in the same fashion that this piece is here. So it'll look something at the end when it's put together, it will look something like that. Then this is our J piece, which I mentioned earlier. So it's going to be connected to this one here. And so we'll have that side of the roof. Then next we have the basic rectangular patchwork or piecing work to put together for the house itself. So we have K, we'll leave that there. So we have 2 like pieces for K, and then we have P that'll be going in the center. And mind you, again, this is just giving space to accommodate for the seam allowance and piecing everything together. So we have 2 A's on our building. So these are going to go right below here. And then this A will sit somewhere below here. And we know we need to put a Q there. So let's go ahead and lay Q out. So these are the windows of the home. And then we have I, which will go below A for the window. And then we have 2. One is F and one is H. I'm just going to lay that on there. So you can kind of start seeing the front of the, or the side of the house, if you will. And then the front of the house has the door below this piece, K, which will be the door. And then lastly, we have the side of the house, the flowers and the shrubbery alongside of the house. One that will go there. And again, these will get attached in a flip and stitch method. And those are my O pieces. Now we have what looks like an exploded quilt block. So we have all the different pieces separated, and now we're ready to start strategizing how we're going to put it together. So what I do is I will look at my quilt block. All right, so you can see on the screen there, I will look at it and see where I can build my major sections. So for example, I might start with putting M and C together to create one triangle unit. Then I might connect L and N together at the top to create that unit. And by doing this, it makes piecing the quilt block much more manageable. The flip and stitch method, I haven't quite figured out the method to the magic, so what I try to make sure that I do is when I do my flip and stitch methods, I make sure that when I put my pieces together, that they form the rectangle unit they were intended to be. If you have some tips and tricks to share on how to align them up so that they make a nice square, let us know in the comments. So now we have our block laid out. We're ready to take it to the sewing machine and start piecing it together. So let's go ahead and start with our top two easy pieces, which is N and L. Now, working with these small blocks, it's also really very important that you do pay attention and make sure that you have a good, accurate 1/4 inch seam allowance. And let's go do the flip and stitch here. So M and C. I'm going to take and go like this just to make sure that I know where it's at. And then I'm going to basically flip it over. I'm going to line up this edge here parallel with the edge of the M fabric, and then I'm going to give it about 1/4 inch to hang below, and then I'm going to stitch 1/4 inch seam allowance. And so this piece is a triangle unit, so you know that it's going to be on the bias, so just be very conscious and ginger about handling those angled units like that. I'm going to press my seams open for this small unit with all of these different moving pieces. So let's put that back there. Now for this one here, let's just make sure that it lines up, roll it open, and make sure that that edge is nice and parallel with the rectangle edge. So we have a nice rectangle there. So just a quick finger press. Now that I can see that it's lined up nicely, I'm just going to go ahead and cut this extra piece off. I'm even going to go ahead and cut the dog ears off. So now we have this unit going this way. Now let's go ahead and continue with our flip and stitch with these unit pieces right here, which are our J, E, and the other C. Flip it around. There we go. All right, let's see how those two pieces looked. We want to gently roll this open. Let's make sure we have a nice triangle. All right, so that looks really good. Let's go ahead and open this one up. So now we have our rectangle unit that's gonna make up the roof of our house. Okay, and then let's go ahead and press these seams open. And if you don't have one of these tools, you can use anything that has a polished, smooth, rounded surface, like a spoon. You can use a spoon. Just take that cup of the spoon and just glide it over your fabric. That'll flatten it out. If you have a plastic turnout tool, this works just as well. There's nothing wrong with using your finger, using the back of your finger. Okay, so this piece is done. Let's go ahead and cut those dog ears off. So now this sky piece is going to look like this. So there's the peak of the gable and the pitch of the house. Q will go there. All right, we have some more stitch and flip pieces that we need to put together. So let's go ahead and start with these. So same concept as before, just on a smaller scale. So taking these pieces here, which are the FO combination, the IO combination, and the HO combination. So for each one of these, we're going to do the same thing as we did up here. I'm actually going to pin this so that I can get it right. All right. H and O. Okay, so starting with this one here, open it up. All right, let's go ahead and cut that piece off. All right, that's nice and lined up, just to get it out of the way. Let's put that back. There, there, there. Let's go ahead and continue with this unit here. Let's attach our window. And when we attach our window to this unit here, it should measure the same height as these two units. Okay, open that up. There we go. So now we have 3 units of the same height. Now we can actually attach these 3 together. And when we attach these 3 together, the consumption of the seam allowance shrinks these 3 units to match the width of our Q unit. So let's go ahead and do that. All right. And then let's do this one here. All right. Let's open that up. So now it's the same as that unit there. So now we have this section and this section. Let's go ahead and piece together this section here. So we're going to start with our A and K. Oh, these little pieces are fiddly. Line those 2 up. Let's do our K and B. So you can see the house is starting to take shape. Now these 2 put together should be the same width as G. All right. We have a much more manageable set of pieced units. We can now construct the bigger thirds of our house unit. So let's start at the top. Okay. Now this unit is the same height as this unit, so we can put that together. Okay, there we have it. Nice peak chimney and gable. Let's put these 2 together. Now for this one, we do have to match up the seams for the window and the doors. Because we're pressing our seams open, make sure that you align your points together and then maybe consider pinning them. Quilter's choice. What is your confidence level? Very nice. We still have good points. Let's press these seams open. Pressing seams is Quilter's choice. What technique do you use to reduce the amount of bulk inside of your quilt blocks? To me, I found pressing seams open worked way better, especially with all of the small units all in one area. All right, and then our last third portion, attach this together. After I attach this piece to this unit, I'm actually going to go to the pressing station and give these pieces a really good press. All right, so now we have our 3 quilt block pieces. We have the roof and sky section. We have the side of the house with the shrubbery and the window, and then we have the front side of the house, which has the door and another window. So I'm going to take these to the pressing station, give them a nice firm press, press all of my seams open, and come back and we'll finish putting this block together. All right, so we have a rooftop piece, side piece, and front piece. Now you can see this coming together, looking like a true home. So let's go ahead and take these 2 pieces and put them together. Press that seam open. Finally, let's put the roof on the house. All right, one last press and we're ready to be done. Okay, now we have our finished quilt block, and once it's inserted into a quilt project, it should finish at 6 inches. So there's plenty of space on the side for your seam allowance. So I discovered I had my window piece sewn in wrong. So I thought maybe this might be a good opportunity to show you how I fix some of my mistakes when I insert a block wrong or something like that. Just kind of a good lesson to pay attention to what you're doing. So let's go ahead and fix this. So we're going to go ahead and start by putting these two units right sides together, sew them, and I'll attach them. So give me just a moment. Okay, that's together. Now I'm going to take and rotate this out of the way and attach these two units together. Okay, so now that those two units are together. All right, so now all we have to do is go ahead, flip this back around, and come back maybe a 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch and overlap our stitch and finish the stitching, and we'll be done. And there is our properly finished house quilt block, finishing at 6.5 inches. What I wanted to, because this is kind of a foundational thing, there are many things that you can do with these. So like what we did today, we did the flip and stitch to give it a little bit of pizzazz, to give it shrubbery. On this quilt block, right, we changed up the doors a little bit and put a pennant on there. So maybe you might think of this as a schoolhouse or maybe even a barracks building or something like that. So again, looking at it as the foundational pieces. You have the top, you have the pennant, you have the doors down at the bottom, and you have your sky. I really appreciate all of the constructive feedback that you viewers are sharing with me and sharing with others. So thank you very much for watching. And as always, may all of your quilting projects be joyful, one stitch at a time.